It was supposed to be a quiet afternoon, sun's out, pool's clean. I've got my drink and I'm ready to relax. But that peace didn't last long. Out of nowhere, I hear this voice yelling over the fence. It's Karen. Yup, that kind of Karen. She's got her phone out, pacing back and forth like she owns the place, shouting about how I'm trespassing and not allowed to be in that pool. I tried to stay calm, but before I could say a word, she was already calling the cops. Now, is the crazy part. This isn't just any pool. This is my pool. The deed, it's in my name. The entire lot, including the one Karen thinks she controls, is actually mine. But she didn't know that. Not yet. As I stood there dripping wet and confused, I couldn't believe the audacity. How does someone get so bold they call the cops on the actual owner? But that's just where the story starts because what happened next? Let's just say it turned this neighborhood drama into something way bigger than a poolside misunderstanding. Stick around, because you're not gonna believe how this all unfolded, and the moment the cops arrived, yeah, things took a wild turn. So, here I am, towel around my shoulders, standing there while Karen's still yelling into the phone like she just caught someone breaking into Fort Knox. She's saying things like, "He's in the pool again. I told you he doesn't belong here." And I'm just baffled. I moved into this neighborhood 6 months ago, bought the house, the lot, and yep, that pool. It was all part of the deal. I even had the property lines double-checked during the purchase because I knew things might get weird with neighbors this close. Karen, though, she's been a problem since day one. Glares from across the street, passive-aggressive comments about keeping things neat. And once she even left a note on my door about how my trash bins were facing the wrong way. I've tried to be friendly, really, but something about me being here just seems to bother her. Maybe it's that I'm younger. Maybe it's that I work from home and don't fit her mold, who knows. But today crossed a whole new line. Calling the police? For being in my own pool I had no idea how this would play out. All I knew was that the cops were on their way, and I needed to stay calm. But what I didn't know, what none of us knew, is what they'd uncover when they showed up. About 10 minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled up, lights off but serious faces on. Karen rushed to them like she was the one calling in a robbery in progress. She's pointing at me, talking fast, hands flying everywhere. I could hear bits and pieces, something about unauthorized use, trespassing, and this is a quiet neighborhood. Meanwhile, I just stood there waiting, trying not to laugh at the absurdity. I mean, how do you even explain to the police that you're being accused of breaking into your own property? One officer came over and asked for my ID. Fair enough. I gave it to him and calmly explained the situation. I told him I owned the entire lot, including the pool Karen thought was hers, or at least community property, as she once called it during a weird convo at the mailbox. The cop nodded, but said they'd still have to verify everything just to be safe. That's when I offered to grab the paperwork, deed, lot map, all of it. I had it ready in a folder inside, just in case stuff like this ever happened. Guess I wasn't paranoid after all. But while I was inside grabbing it, something else was happening out front. Karen wasn't done. She'd pulled another neighbor into it, whispering, pointing, clearly trying to stir something bigger. That's when things really started to unravel. When I stepped back outside with the folder in my hand, everything felt different. The energy had shifted. Karen was standing there with crossed arms, a smug look on her face, like she thought she'd already won. The neighbor she roped in, Mr. Daniels, a guy I'd barely spoken to, was now backing her up, saying he'd never seen me use that pool before and that it was meant for the original owners of the block. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Suddenly, it wasn't just about a pool. It felt like they were trying to push me out altogether. The officer took the paperwork and started reviewing it, but Karen kept interrupting, throwing out claims like, that lot was never supposed to be sold, and this whole block was built on an agreement. like she had some kind of secret HOA logbook no one else knew about. Her voice kept rising, and honestly, it felt like she was trying to cause a scene loud enough to make the cops side with her out of convenience. Then the second officer walked over to the fence line and started inspecting the property markers. He motioned the first one over, and they had a quick, low conversation. I couldn't hear it, but I could see their faces change, eyes narrowing, heads nodding slowly. That's when I knew something big was about to go down. The officer came back over, holding my folder tighter now, and asked me a question that threw me off completely. Did you know there's a second deed tied to this address? I blinked, confused. A second asterisk, what asterisk? I asked. That's when he explained. While checking the lot lines, they'd pulled up public records to confirm everything. And apparently, there's an old forgotten easement tied to the back edge of the lot. Something that hadn't come up during my sale. Something that Karen just might have known about. Now things were getting weird. Karen's confidence suddenly made more sense. She wasn't just bluffing. She might have actually been holding on to some outdated clause from decades ago, something she thought gave her access or partial rights to the space behind my fence. The twist? That easement had been nullified years ago when the properties were redrawn and merged under a single owner. But unless that update had been filed properly, it could leave a legal gray area. Karen's voice got louder again. See? I told you. That pool was never supposed to be private. Mr. Daniels backed her up, and a few more neighbors had wandered over by now, sensing the drama. I stood there feeling surrounded, like I was being put on trial in my own yard, just waiting for the officers to say something, anything. The tension was thick. Everyone stood there waiting, Karen smug as ever, a small crowd gathering like it was some neighborhood courtroom, and me holding onto the one thing that could shut this all down: proof. The officer looked around, raised his hand to quiet everyone, then spoke clearly. We've confirmed it. The easement Karen is referring to was officially dissolved in a county update 8 years ago. This entire lot, including the pool, is private property, his property. You could hear a pin drop. Karen's face dropped instantly. She started stammering, trying to argue, but the officer wasn't having it. Ma'am, he said firmly, you called in a false report. If this continues, we'll need to document this as harassment. Mr. Daniels quietly slipped back toward his yard, pretending like he was never involved. The other neighbors, they scattered just as fast. It was over. Also, I thought. As the officers turned to leave, one of them handed me back the folder and said, "You might still want to follow up with the county office. There's a note here. It looks like someone recently tried to submit a claim to reopen that easement." I froze. "Recently?" I asked. He nodded. "Last month. Anonymous submission. But the mailing address matches your neighbor across the street." Karen wasn't just mistaken. She had a plan, and this might not be over. The next day, I drove straight to the county office, documents in hand. I needed to know just how deep this went. Turns out, someone had submitted a request to reactivate that old easement, and while the paperwork didn't include a name, the return address matched Karen's exactly. It wasn't just a misunderstanding. She had actually tried to find a way to legally take back part of my property. All that fake outrage, the phone call to the cops, dragging the neighbors into it, it was all part of a setup. But here's the part that really got me. She would have gotten away with it if I hadn't already double-checked the property records during the home purchase. If I hadn't had that paperwork ready, or if I'd gotten aggressive, things could have gone a lot worse. It's wild how fast something innocent like using your own pool can turn into neighborhood warfare. Since then, things have been quiet. Karen keeps her distance now. Mr. Daniels won't even make eye contact. And me? I still use my pool every weekend. Because I owned it, I pay for it. And yeah, I it. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Always know your rights, keep your receipts, and never underestimate how far a so-called neighbor will go when they think you don't belong.